Hello, and welcome to the Rebirth Summit 2026 Stories of Unyielding Courage. I'm Katherine Sea, founder of Today Life Coaching, because today matters and you matter. Now, I know what it feels like to look like you've got it together on the outside and maybe even on paper, but feel lost inside. After years in finance and academic operations, I now coach women whose lives were lost, but now they feel like it's theirs. And that's why I love stories of transformation. So it's a privilege to be selected as an interviewer on this international summit, featuring over 100 inspiring stories of transformation and rebirth. It's my joy and my honor to interview today's guest, this fascinating person, Accolon Hollingsworth. Accolon began his journey searching for a way to resolve the inner struggles that he saw affecting both individuals and society. He trained under an unconventional kung fu teacher who focused on mastering the inner battle, eventually becoming a live-in apprentice and receiving specialized kung fu priest training. And through this, Accolon experienced deep personal transformation and went on to develop inner victory leadership, a practical approach to leading from inner strength and creating lasting personal and societal impact. And today, he leads the Inner Victory Champion movement and offers a 4-week training to help others step into this kind of grounded, transformative leadership. Accolon's amazing story of rebirth will surely move you, inspire you, and empower you. So, buckle up. It's rebirth time. Well, Accolon, what a delight to have you with us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, I'm curious, so let's start at the beginning. What was your life like before your transformation? Would you describe the situation emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and just help us feel where you were?
Well, I was worried about problems I saw in society, people hurting other people hurting themselves, dysfunctional behavior, dysfunctional relationships, families, communities. I was aware many of the problems I saw were happening from, they were being created by troubles people had within themselves that they didn't know how to solve, the inner struggles. I didn't know how to help that though, even though I wanted to. And at the time, I had my own inner struggles that I didn't know how to help my own struggles.
Wow. Well, did you have a breaking or turning point? Was there a major moment or situation that forced or awakened something within you? Would you tell us what happened?
Yeah, I did. Well, remember, I just mentioned that I was aware that problems within people were causing other problems in society, et cetera. This is where this was my insight moment for that. But I was in third grade, actually, and I was running down the stairs. I was just felt playful. So I ran down the stairs to play in the basement playroom. Halfway down the stairs, it felt like I ran into a wall of dark, angry energy, stopped me in my tracks. The smile fell off my face. I didn't know what hit me for a second. I I grabbed onto the railing, leaned forward. I didn't want to go down there before I saw what was it that I was stepping into. So I grabbed onto the railing. I leaned forward and I peered down into the playroom. What I saw was my stepdad sitting in the dark at the table that we built model cars on, but he was just sitting alone in the dark, no music on. And I was wondering, why is he just sitting there alone in the dark? Now, as I was watching him, there was just enough light coming through the basement window that I could see a scowl on his face. And as I watched him, he didn't move. He didn't turn his head. He didn't seem to even notice I was there, even though he was facing the doorway where the stairs was. But I watched him and I was curious about what am I seeing here? And then I realized that dark, angry energy was coming from him all the way across from where he was sitting, all the way up to the stairs where I was. That terrified me. And I ran back upstairs. Now, my stepdad was fighting inner battles he didn't know how to solve. And it was causing problems in our family life. Just a couple quick examples. So one time where he skipped my birthday party, and all my friends were asking, well, where's your stepdad? Where's your dad? And I didn't know, but he chose that time to go off on his own to think about things, because he just, again, those inner battles, and he didn't know what to do with them. Or another time where in an argument with my mom, he knocked my mom to the floor, again, not having the skills or the being equipped to handle what he was facing. So he knocked my mom to the ground and stormed out of the house. And as I watched him go, I balled my little hands up into fists, watching him walk out of the house. I became determined to help people solve their inner problems so that they could bring the best out in themselves. That's what I took from all of that.
My goodness, you were so young, so astute, and so aware. Thank you. Thank you for following whatever inner nudge there was. Now, you had a transformation. What did your transformation feel like? Would you take us into the internal process? Your fears, any breakthroughs, healing, decisions, and the steps forward.
Yeah, I'll tell you what my transformation was, and it was there was a long arc over years, but I'll give it a very quick abridgment for you. When I was a teenager, I started learning kung fu from a man who he prioritized inner work and inner strengthening, and he helped me. And again, what are the themes as a teenager? He helped me win battles I was having within myself of perfectionism, insecurities, and negative relationship with myself. He had a saying: if you're beating yourself up, don't worry about the guy hiding in the bushes. Not beating I loved that, by the way, when he introduced me to that. It's part of how I knew I had found the right teacher. But not beating myself up became part of my training. I heard him tell me not to beat myself up more often than I heard him tell me to keep my guard up. I chose to become his apprentice so that I could learn to help other people win inner battles, so that they could enjoy the inner relief that I had found. And my training became a deep spiritual experience that I took all the way to becoming a Kung Fu priest, dedicating my life to serving humanity by what he called bringing light to the darkness. In other words, what that means is counteracting the spiritual sickness that's undermining humanity's well-being. So that was just the beginning. It sounds like that's the whole transformation. That was just the beginning, a foundation that I developed into the inner victory champion identity and way of being, and the inner victory leadership that has enabled me to recover from the painful things in my life intact and progressively stronger with inner strength.
Wow. Wow, that's beautiful. And so, of course, your Kung Fu master was a primary support in your journey. Did you have other people, maybe faith, tools, or practices that helped carry you through?
Well, the best way I can answer that is really starting with my Kung Fu teacher. So first it was my Kung Fu teacher, and then it was what he taught me. And then it was what I developed that into. So, I mean, transformation, there's a lot that goes on when you go through a major transformation, a lot of inner stuff, right? It's not all of it easy and not all of it pleasant. So my Kung Fu teacher guided and supported me in the difficult nuances that came up, and helped me with through the emotional growing pains that came up through the transformation. Sometimes it was intense, and it was good to have a guide, right?
Awesome.
And then what he taught me strengthened my soul, and it equipped me. And I had no idea how grateful I would be over the years that I got this. You start out as a young adult, you don't know what you're walking into. You don't know what your life's going to be like, but so blessed that I had the training. But so what he taught me strengthened my soul, but it also equipped me to withstand negative impacts from society's sickness. And then I took what he taught me and I developed it into the inner victory, the inner victory champion way and identity, and the inner victory leadership. But I was able to I guess I said it pretty good already with the recover from things, getting progressively stronger with inner
Mm,
strength.
beautiful, beautiful. Sounds like that you were so aware that you implemented, you integrated, you invented, and now you've got this hedge of protection around you yourself that you also can offer others.
Well, yeah, and then again with what I developed it into, it was this was a key part of the culminating transformation was transforming it into a way out of society's dysfunction that it was for both, it fits for both non-martial artists and martial artists alike. So whether
Okay,
you're training or not.
great. So I'd just like you to expand a little bit. Where are you now on your journey? I obviously your life has changed. You've got this inner strength and you're actually helping others implement that. Tell us how that has changed and what actually looks different now.
Well, now I'm a champion at winning the battles within, and
Love
that's
it.
there's a confidence that comes from that has helped me with the hard hits that have come at me in life. Some which had devastated me to the point where I felt like my soul was dying, but I was able to
Mhm.
recover anyway.
Mhm.
So, champion, when I talk about inner battles, some are easier than others, and some are really tough. And I've always been able to hold up to well, I'll say this. I've developed a lot as far as where I'm at now. I've developed a lot of inner strength, incredible inner strength
Mhm.
that, and I've strengthened myself with things like self acceptance. That takes care of a lot of inner battles, just that right there. But also with strengthening myself with feeling secure in my ability. Here's a real core one. I mean, feel into this. I strengthen myself with feeling secure in my ability to be okay, even if someone hurts me.
Mhm.
That's a huge one right there. A lot of comfort and peace come out of that. And my ability to face things that are difficult rather than distract myself or hide from hard things or go into coping things that don't work, like different addictions or whatever that I don't do that. Inner strength, right? And the skills to use that inner strength. So, but I'm also, remember at the beginning, I said I had concerns of the societal problems and where they're coming from with people's inner problems, and I didn't know how to help that. Well, now I'm equipped to help societal problems that are created by losing inner battles.
Beautiful. Well, that's a great segue.
Well, I want to add one quick.
Oh,
This is
uh,
the most, to me, the most important thing
okay.
is that I'm able. To me, that always boils down to this: I'm able to remain good for both myself and others, even while going through the tough stuff,
Mhm.
like divorce, and when my mom died, when a friend committed suicide, single parenting challenges, and times where I make mistakes that I mess up where I need to make amends. I'm able to recover from whatever it is intact with inner strength and with mental, emotional, and spiritual skills to make things better.
I love that. I love that. So accepting doesn't mean being complacent or not doing
No,
anything about it, right?
not at all. I'm so there's being and there's becoming, and I harmonize both in my practice. So it's I accept myself as I am and what I'm becoming, and it's both. So I don't. I know there's a temptation where people some people turn to hating themselves to spur change, right? I'm going to use anger or self-loathing to force myself to change. I don't do that. It's I am all of my efforts to improve myself are building on loving myself as I already am. It's what do you it's like this. What do you need to do to be worthy of love? Nothing. And you're still going to keep developing yourself to be loving and to be strong and to be able to be capable and do the things you want to do. So there's still growth, but there's no self-loathing in the growth and development. It's all love, which is a big part of winning inner battles.
Oh, I love that. Thank you very much. And so Like I said, this is a great way to move into what your mission is today, because I believe you're using your experience to help others. So describe to us your business, your mission, your work that you are doing today because of all that you've been through.
Yes, I'm training people to become transcendent leaders, and that's for help. What's for enabling them to maximize their influence, their positive influence on themselves. A lot of people underestimate their influence on themselves, but to maximize their positive influence on themselves, on society, and on what our troubled world is becoming. That's my answer to the leadership crisis that we're in, that I see us in. You're a you're a leader, whether you're leading just yourself or whether you're also leading your family, a company, a community, or a movement. But if your leadership is weakened by losing inner battles, or if it's hijacked by social programming designed to weaken people, or social programming designed to, I'm just going to be blunt, that's designed for society, for humanity's subjugation. What effect is your leadership going to have then on you, your life, and on the world? That's the leadership crisis that my training that I developed transcends.
Wow.
If you strengthen, this is where it gets good though. On the flip side, if you strengthen your leadership with inner strength and with winning inner battles, then you're able to withstand social programming. You're able to free yourself of that with clarity, and you're able to transcend society's dysfunction. That's what I developed the Inner Victory Leadership Transformation for. And of course, for people being able to lead, to influence what our world becomes with transcendent leadership that generates well-being.
Wow, that sounds really noble, but could you help us see how does it work? We want the practical insight.
Well, sure. So, I mean, there's nuts and bolts to a training, right? There's, if anyone was interested, well, how does that work? So, important details here. The training for this transformation, for the Inner Victory Leadership Transformation. And by the way, you're transforming two things, yourself and your leadership. They're intertwined. Strengthening both, enhancing both. The training for this transformation only takes a few weeks. It's a wonderful, strong start to a new identity and way of being and leading and living. And then after graduating, you have the opportunity to become a member in my online community it's my graduate community for Inner Victory Champions. And that's for continued support and reinforcement of your new identity and your new powerful ways of living and leading. So there's the transformation itself grounds you in and transforms you. You transform. And then if you can go on your own after that, or, there's society's influences, there's a lot of pull to, constant calls to be outraged. That wears a soul out. There's a lot of influences in society that can keep us from transforming or to reverse a transformation. So that's where there's the community, the graduate community, for that reinforcement, where you get to practice and engage in these new powerful ways of being and the Inner Victory Champion identity. So there's that. Now, this is key too. This is important. You set up, you prepare your success in this transformation by doing the pre-training, and you access that by joining the waitlist. So I provided a QR code to join the waitlist, but when you join the waitlist for the Inner Victory Leadership Transformation, it's not just waiting around for the next round of that to come out, of the availability, and just wait on get reminders, but there's an interactive pre-training that you get to do over a 12-day period that preps you, that primes you, and you're able to interact. It's through email. but it's
Okay.
interactive preparation for your success. And that gives you a very in-depth understanding of what you're going into.
Beautiful, beautiful. So it screens out those who are really not serious, but those who are serious, once they taste it, they will want more because they love being the newer version of themselves, their true inner person. I
Well,
love
sure.
that.
And yeah, it's so there's billions of people in the world, and there's many different approaches to leadership, to life, to way to problem solve. I just play, as my teacher would, he referred to it, there's the great concert of life.
Yeah.
And then I'm playing my note in the great concert of life, which happens to be, I help other people, I train people to, for their strike their note in the concert of life, the song of life. But what I'm getting to is what I offer doesn't fit for everybody.
Right.
So that pre-training gives a chance to, oh, this is what it's about. And you can tell, does this feel like this fits or not? And there's going to be people who, yeah, this just woke something up in me, or this is what I've felt in a long time in myself, but I didn't know I was looking, but this is what I'm looking for. And it might just be what you're looking for. So that's the waitlist pre-training will help you know that.
Excellent. 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 Thank you so much. Now, do you have a message for someone who's might be still stuck or in pain? They're probably listening, and maybe they are where you once were. What would you like to tell them, Accolon?
Yeah, a couple of things. To start with, if you've listened to this, you probably heard me say inner strength many times. That's a theme, right? It's from my experience, the inner strength is what is is needed for helping all the things that I talked about. So develop your inner strength, increase your inner strength, and train to use it to win
Mhm.
the inner battles.
Mm.
The second thing I'll add to that is, as you do that, it's good because when we can focus inner strength and using inner strength on a goal, yeah, a goal of winning inner battles, sure, that's part, but a greater vision to that can be very helpful to get you through, to keep you moving forward and progressing. So the vision I'll add in here is transform your life, turn your life into a story of a champion who breaks free of society's dysfunction and sickness and becomes a transcendent leader who influences the world in a way that inspires you. That's what I say.
Thank you. I think they will receive that very well. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your courageous heart and your very intriguing story. You spoke to my heart, Accolon. And so may your story, your inner strength, your championship, your movement keep reminding us that it's never too late to reclaim who we are, to recognize who we are, and never too soon to live it boldly. Bless you, Accolon, and thank you so much.
Very well put. And thank you for this chance to share and assist.
Great. Well, this has been another incredible conversation on the Rebirth Summit 2026, Stories of Unyielding Courage. I'm Katherine Sea, and it's been an honor to host this interview with the courageous visionary Accolon Hollingsworth as part of this global movement for hope, healing, and transformation. Stay tuned for more interviews from courageous speakers all around the world. Until next time, this is Rebirth TV, signing off.